This is a post-edit video. I'm about to show you my little screw-up when I decided to replace the boot, just the boot, instead of the entire CV axle. Watch this. So we're going to go ahead and change out the CV axle boot.
Yeah, there's that puppy. Look at that.
We could get access to the joint. Alright, once you got your boot off, then you get to see how all gross this is. Oh. Your shaft clean of all this goop. Okay, once you got the boot on, nobody says that this is a clean job. Squeeze this center part until it's nice and tight. Okay, Houston, we have a problem. This video, we're actually going to be replacing a CV axle. Tried to replace the boot, and that went well, and everything that went along with it. But for some reason, I must have hit the axle stud too hard, where it mushroomed out just a little bit, and then it ended up stripping the threads. Honestly, I can go to the store and buy a die or something and fix that issue, but then we still have an issue with the nut. By everything is all said and done, I want to limit the amount of risk versus money being spent. How much time am I actually going to be spending to fix an old CV axle that I screwed up than to just get a new axle, right? So this CV axle is from Rock Auto. This is made by Track Motive. I don't know if you can read that. Track Motive. 40 bucks. $40 versus the $9 we spent on a replacement boot for the CV axle. I say it's a no-brainer. If I'm going to be spending an hour plus, maybe 2 hours plus, think about your own job, right? Your own job, maybe, I don't know, $15, $20 an hour. I'm just guessing. I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am, right? But let's just say you make $20 an hour and it takes you 2 hours to fiddle around with all this stuff, going to the store for parts and coming back and trying to figure out ways to fix it. Well, now you've just wasted time on something that you could have been, using that time a little bit more efficiently. So first thing we're going to do, the thing's lifted up, axle nut is removed, so we're just going to remove this tie rod end bolt here and your suspension bolts here. Actually disconnect this your ABS sensor that goes to a ring back here. And then remove these nuts. You want to tap these out from the strut, and then you want to bring this all down after you tap this in. So this is how it should look. Your tie rod nut is disconnected. This is disconnected. This should be hanging off over here. Your two nuts removed. Take a hammer, softly tap that out to the other side, and then we should be able to pull this down. All right, and now we're all separated here. Now we have to remove the axle from over there on the transmission side. How the heck do you do that? Do I need a special tool or anything? Not really. Just a pry bar will do. All right. Old axle's out, and as you can see, the adapter piece, because these come with like an adapter stud at the end that connects right here on this end. So it's a little spline adapter, and if that, sometimes they come out with it, sometimes they don't. In this case it didn't, so what we're going to do is we're just going to leave that in there and install the new axle on that. Now you see all this debris. Just wipe that up. Don't push anything inside, because obviously that goes in with your fluids and circulation. So we are actually going to wipe that up, install the new one, be done with it. All right, now we got that kind of wiped up. We've got our new axle. We have our nut on, so that way when we pound this in to that adapter, we won't mushroom out our stud. Have the same mistake. All right, and right about there is where you want to be. Make sure the seal isn't like ripped from you hammering it in, and I want this thing focus. Anyways, that's where we got the new axle installed. That's how it should be looking. If there's a space somewhere in there that you could see in, go back, start pounding at it again with a sledgehammer, like a small sledgehammer, and then you should be able to get that sucker in there and sealed up. All right, we got everything back together how we had it. Everything still looks kosher with that. All right, now that that's seated all the way on, it's probably hot because I had it on my impact, but as you can see, these presses are in here, these dimples
that warps the nut on this side and keeps it really tight. So it's going to be pretty hard for that to back out, but we still want to look up the torque specs and torque this to spec with our axle axle nut socket.
All right, after some Googling, 155 foot-pounds is the torque spec for the axle nut. So that's what we did. So now we can put our wheel back on and then drop it finally. So that's all you got to do, guys. That's how you replace CV axle. HHR, Cobalt, Pontiac G5, but also applies to a lot of other platforms too. So not just Chevrolet. You know, CV axles are pretty universal when it comes to the understanding of how they work. Actually pretty common to have a CV axle. So if this helped you, you know what to do. Catch you guys on the next one.